With the new forge, I decided that I needed a new forge. the burning kind, not the building sort. I really like to smith with a coke fire, but living in the city limits of Seattle, which is a very green city with some very concerned neighbors, because our housing prices keep going up and people want to keep it that way and they like breathing clean air. I'm not allowed to light a coke or coal fire here in my neighborhood or in the city, in truth, without a special permit. So I'm going to go with another propane forge. In my previous setup here at the house, under the tent, not in the building, I would use a coffee can like forge. Bigger than a coffee can, single burner, but not a lot of capacity. If I wanted something with capacity, then I'd go to the Pratt and I would use one of their forges. But as I have the building now, I want a little better, a little bigger forge, something that I can actually heat weld with or forge weld with, instead of just heating it up and making it glowing red and pounding on it with a hammer. In my search for a new forge, I ended up going with something that I knew. Now, I looked at the Chili forge, I looked at the Diablo forge, I looked at a number of options, including building one myself, which I'm fully capable of doing. I just already have a lot of projects. What I went with was the Ellis forge. At a previous employer, years and years ago, we had like a 6-inch Darren Ellis horizontal forge that they used in the machine shop for certain things. It was a dream. It worked great. The machinists and the facilities guys, man, they loved it. They did. Now, it's not the same Ellis forge as I used because it's not the same company. Apparently, Darren Ellis in 2011 sold his rights to build the forge to High Temp Tools and Refractory. It's a man named Wayne Serbier. Really nice guy. I've had some correspondence back and forth with him. Anyway, so I bought the kit from him. I went with the 8-inch HT, and it shipped in this box. And it's been sitting here in the garage waiting for me to finish the forge to get built. So here we go. Let me build it. Okay, let's unwrap this bad boy. Now, I did take some of the packaging out just because I got super excited when it showed up. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. So, the insulation. The forge itself. Let's get some of this stuff out. Ooh, my burner. Look at that fire brick. Perfect shape. Perfect. Now, when you buy the forge, Wayne sends some directions on how to insulate it and how to get it ready, and I'll include a PDF of that, as well as Burgess Knives. I have the web link and the PDF down below. I'll include his directions. He's got some pictures, and it's basically the same thing. There's just extra pictures. Now, this forge came with a thermocouple port, but I've had really sketchy luck with thermocouples, even the really nice expensive ones. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking and putting some really high temp copper anti-seize on the threads, and then on this initial forge lining, I think I'm just going to put a little bit of extra insulating wool in that hole, and then just insulating around it and just not using this thermocouple port at all. I've got a really nice handheld IR temp gauge that I think I'm going to use instead. But I don't want to cut it off. I want to be able to, if I choose to use it, if I do find a better thermocouple solution, and when I reline the forge out, it'll be available. I'm going to go ahead and cut the ends wool insulation on this. I need to say from previous experience, and the directions say that this ends wool can be an irritant. That's not bullshit in any way, shape, or form. It's very much an irritant. Wear gloves, tape your cuffs, tape the little hole there, button your shirt all the way up. Now, it can be cut, doesn't have to be cut with anything special, just a regular utility knife. But I would also recommend, in addition to the gloves and the tape, glasses, shield, and respirator. I made the mistake of doing this once with just a pair of gloves on and a short sleeve shirt. And if you have issues with regular insulation, man, I'm going to tell you that Innswool is like the pink stuff on Schwarzenegger steroids. It is like a whole day and night of just itching and painful. So I would not recommend it. And then getting it in your nose and lungs is a big no-no. So don't do that. Here's my first layer. Now, pardon the sound. I got my mask on still because it's nice and wet. So there's the first layer, and I'll let that air dry for about 24 hours. So I put the second layer in. Now, I didn't put any of the Satanite here because I'm going to close the front of it. Now, I did go ahead and really put it in nice around the access port right there. But when I close the lid, that'll make a nice tight bond, and then my second layer will marry these two sections together. Well, we're about 16 hours later, and it's only 45, 47 degrees in the shop, and this first layer is still soaking wet. So I think this is going to go in the basement to dry for another 24 hours. This is the first light of the forge and the curing stage for the Satanite. So let me go ahead and turn the propane on and lighter and make sure I don't blow myself up. Safety glasses. Wear safety glasses. Alright, so I'm not a plumber, but I follow directions real good, and I used some soapy water on all the fittings just to make sure there weren't any leaks. Plenty of Teflon tape, and they're Guten tight. No bubbles, and so no gas leak. Let's light the forge. So this is the bubble aluminum, and when it talks about paste consistency, this is it. So think about like drywall mud. That's what you want, that right there. I'm going to trowel it in, and I don't have a concrete trowel that is small enough, so I'm going to be using my wife's cake implement.
That's my pie server.
It's a pie server. It looks like it's silver.
Can we please not use that?
That's all I got. Alright, so we've come to an understanding, and I'm going to use this. So I'm going to trowel the Bubba aluminum in. And get a nice half-inch thick layer, and then move up the sidewall about a third of the way up the forge. And let it air dry here in the house for about 24 hours. And I'll take it outside into the forge itself and fire it up, get it nice and cured. So there we are. Stand for the forge is something extra reused. So this is the original stand from the radial arm saw that I rebuilt in a previous video and made a dado saw. And then this is a sheet of 3/4 inch by 18 by 48. No, this is a sheet of 1/4 inch, and originally it was 18 by 48 that I just chopped in half with the torch before running out of oxygen this time. And it will be the base for the forge. I flipped the stand over, and I'm just going to add a few little tack welds just to make sure the top stays in place. Okay, those will hold it for a while, I think. Maybe forever. The first coat is on. I let it dry for 24 hours, and I really like how it turned out. And I went ahead and sanded it with some 320, then cleaned that all off, and I'm going to put a second coat on. Well, the top got 2 coats, but the bottom's only getting a single coat. Well, looky there, she's lit. We're going to cure the bubble alumina, and then I'm going to forge a little something, just 'cause. The magic of being a beekeeper, you have lots and lots of beeswax. Alright, the forge is fully cured. I actually got to use it for the first time today. It's now shut down and mostly cool. You know, I have a rule against no booze in the shop, also the forge. But forge is cold, and I think I deserve a beer. Now, I did for my first project, I did make a bottle opener. So let's crack a beer and enjoy.